Hey guys, Rob Murphy from Holistic Healing Choices here. Today we're having a look at the book Happy Days by Gabrielle Bernstein. So what is this book all about? Is it any good? Should you bother picking it up? Well, let's jump in and talk about it. So this book is about how to overcome trauma that's holding you back, and even uncover the trauma that you don't realize is holding you back, whether it be from addiction or any other negative sort of belief, behavior, anything else that's holding you back. Now this is more of Gabby's personal story on how she's overcome some of these things. So I'm going to be honest, I actually really enjoyed this book. Now, given that a lot of people experience a lot of trauma during their lives, this is something that a lot of people will relate to with her story, or have experienced some sort of addictive form or pattern, whether it be substance abuse, gambling, online, something, shopping, whatever else. Most of us have come across some sort of addiction in our lives. So Gabby talks about her substance abuse very briefly, because it's not a major part of it. It's just that there was this addiction and there was a reason for it happening. So she's taken it upon herself to overcome that, even though she didn't realize what was actually the trigger behind it. So it talks about her personal journey through that and some of the amazing techniques and everything else that she's discovered along the way to help herself overcome that and release and get past some of that trauma. Some of the highlights of this book are some of the techniques that she talks about and goes through. And the thing about this book too is that there are a wonderful wealth of resources that she's got a link to in the book that go from everything from meditations to emotional freedom technique, teaching you how to tap, as well as other resources as well that are going to help you overcome your own trauma if you follow her steps in her footprint that way. Now, it's not going to be for everybody. These things probably aren't going to work for everybody, but that's why there's so many in there, because this one will help for these sort of issues. The therapy sessions that she's going through helped her uncover some other stuff. The rapid eye movements helped with some other stuff, as well as all the IDF therapy, and even just reading parenting books helped her parent some of the other parts of herself that she felt that weren't up to scratch, like her parents didn't do a good job on. And I mean that turn too comes with all the judgment that we put towards our parents raising us, who were doing the best job that they knew how to do. And the thing is, they didn't know what they didn't know. So by reading these books, not only is she becoming a better parent to her own kids, but to herself as well, being able to nurture the parts of her that felt unnurtured for so long. So it was a really interesting idea that I thought, that one especially, because it's something I've never even thought about. Do I have kids? No. Do I want kids? Not really. And what's the reason behind that? Is it because I don't feel I'd be a good enough parent? Is there something that I feel I didn't get from my parents? Maybe that's something too that unlocks my own personal trauma. Maybe that's why I resonated so well with that book, or that part of the book. But to hearing about someone going through their journey, and there is a part in there about how she was very against anxiety or depression medication. Some of those, which I mean, I've taken a stance on that sort of thing as well, in that I don't like that people rely or doctors just prescribe that out so quickly. But if you need it, you need it. And there's a time in there too that Gabby actually had to go and get that, because some of the trauma unlocked some stuff in her that she didn't know how to clear, didn't know how to get rid of. So she needed to get that prescription filled. And now she sees why people actually do need it. So for someone like that, that was a huge turnaround to be able to admit to that sort of thing. Especially being like a spiritual leader, getting up on stages, telling people, ideas about how they should be living their life if they want total freedom and emotional freedom and abundance in their life. Antidepressants isn't really fitting in there, but yet here she is that she needed them. So she needed to deal with the judgment that she had about herself in there as well, which is a big eye-opener once you get into that sort of field, or this sort of field. Like myself, yeah, I don't feel I'll need antidepressants at any stage, but I never know. So there's that relatability there too, if you're working in this field or using these techniques on a daily basis, that maybe things just aren't as evil as I always make it out to be. Now, it's not an advocate for it, it's not against it, it's just something that is. And she makes it very clear in the book now that her stance has changed, and she feels a little bit all of the judgment that she's passed on to other people in the past who rely on these things. That's coming back on her, and she feels so, as you can imagine, hypocritical and judgmental on herself for being so judgmental in the past as well. And it's something else that she's just got to work through. Other things that I really enjoyed about it are those bits of the past, like talking about the substance abuse, but even before that too, how the title of the book actually comes from, rather than saying cheers, her dad would say happy days, which they weren't happy days because she was a victim of abuse and everything else that she was hiding and trying to keep away from the rest of the family. So it was a very interesting read for me, hearing her go through these techniques and making very good references to other material as well, like The Body Keeps a Score and A Course in Miracles were two of the main ones that sort of came up throughout, although there are very many other references that, if you're interested, you can go have a look at as well. Another interesting part about the book is the way that it's sort of been written. There are different bits of text in there to show you what's a meditation, what's a little prayer that you can look at, as well as all the different little exercises and stuff as well as just randomly going through. There are little bits that are highlighted to give, so as you're going through, that's going to be the main takeaway point of that page. So it's great, and if I go to read that again, which I'm pretty sure I will because I've thoroughly enjoyed the book, I'll be sure to doggy where those exercises start. Doggy some of those important pertinent points that if I ever need a bit of a pick-me-up or a boost on something, I'll be able to read that little quote and get that idea of what that page was about straight away. So there's a lot to love about this book, in the way that some of her previous work is all about the positive stuff. But you can do that, but you also need to acknowledge the dark parts, because you can sort of go all the way with the positive thing, but as long as this is still here, still heavy, still holding you back, you can't really get much further with this. So it's a great way to balance that out with her previous writings as well. But anyway guys, regardless of what you think about her, maybe give this book a go. I know there are some people who don't really appreciate or like Gabby for some of her other work and stuff as well. So I know too, some of the times I've listened to some of her stuff, it does come off a little bit egotistical. But this book was really humble, the way it was written. So all up, I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. What stopped it getting a higher score? I don't know. It was very basic, and there are a lot of things about spirit and letting go in that way, but letting go to a higher source as well. It's one of those things that just comes back on my beliefs a little bit. Although she does say, you can call it spirit, you can call it universe, you can just call it energy, whatever it is. That's one of the main things that's holding it back for a bigger score for me. But if that's what suits you, then go for it. It was very basic. You do have to go through and then go through the resources as well to get the full thing out of it. And if you're on a bus or somewhere commuting while you're reading this book, you may not be able to get the full benefit of it at that time. So that's all that's holding it back. Otherwise, it's a fantastic read and a fantastic ideas piece if you've been struggling with trauma, on ways that you can sort of help yourself as well. But anyway guys, that's about it for this one. What did you think of Happy Days? Did you like it? Did you read it? Would you read it? Leave a comment down below, and remember to like, share, comment, subscribe on this video. I'm Rob Murphy, and I'll see you in the next video.